Now we are joined by Julie Green, who is a manager with the Tamworth Family Support Service. And one of Julie's roles is running the Children's Contact Centre in Tamworth. Julie, thank you for joining us.
Lovely, thank you.
First, could you enlighten us as to what is a Children's Contact Centre?
Yeah, sure, Fiona. So the Children's Contact Centre is a warm, friendly, safe environment for children to come and spend time with the non-custodial parent. So it's lots of playthings. It's an outdoor area for them to run around in, and it gives the opportunity for the for the child to interact with that non-custodial parent. And generally it's dad that's come through. So plenty of things to do, art and craft, playing on slippery dips, the sand pits, and all sorts of things. But it needs to be that warm, safe environment for a child to feel comfortable in.
So it sounds like it's sort of purpose built to have children in there. Is that what it's like there?
Yes, absolutely. Very much so, purposely built to enable the safety for the children, because that's our primary concern. And they're our primary clients as well, are the children that come through the service.
Okay. And how is it that people come to use your centre? Is it always that the court says you can only see your child if you go through a children's contact centre, or are there other ways to access the centre?
Most of our referrals come through the family law courts, where families have been ordered, or the non-custodial parents been ordered to spend time with the child or the children.
Mm-hmm.
We will take voluntary families who'd like to use the service to do supervised contacts, or the other service that we offer is supervised changeovers too. So for some families who have been through the family law system and now they've moved on to supervised changeovers, like to come in and utilise our service. Part of the changeover system is that families or mums and dads don't actually get to see one another. So they will drop off the child, a worker will walk them through to the other partner or the other person involved. And that's our changeover completed.
And I'm guessing that you use things such as staggered arrival and departure times and separate entries and exits from the facility to make sure that those parties who are not supposed to see each other do not, is that right?
Absolutely. So we have 15-minute stagger times for each party, and then we have separate entrances and separate car parks for the families to utilise as well.
Okay, so you've thought of all of these different elements in order to keep that process as safe as possible.
Absolutely.
For everyone involved.
Yes.
And then speaking about safety, how do you make sure that children are safe in the Children's Contact Centre, and making sure that they feel safe if the person that they're seeing there is somebody that they haven't seen for a long time or they're not used to spending time with?
Sure. So as part of our process, we do an extensive intake assessments. So we do it with both parties, but more importantly, we do it with the child or the children. We have what's known as a child orientation, which allows the children to come into the centre, get to meet the workers, see the buildings, see which entrance mum and the children come through, and then see the entrance where the non-custodial, Jenny, as I said, is dads that come through as well. And then depending on the age of the children and where they are on the development milestones, the workers will have a conversation and ask how are you feeling about coming into the centre and seeing your dad, etc. So we get to hear plenty about how children are feeling. And even though the custodial parent will be bringing in the children, we like to separate them to see whether there's any separation anxiety going on, or whether there's any other issues around separation, talking with the children and seeing how they're feeling. So it might entail more than one visit, depending what information that we get from that particular initial one. So it's very important for the children to feel safe in that environment. We also provide them with strategies if they're feeling uncomfortable at any time, and future contacts as well. So there's strategies in place for them to be able to communicate to workers as well.
So during the visit, if the children begin to feel unsafe, they can somehow flag to the worker
Absolutely.
that they'd like to speak to them privately.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So then we can stop the contact, bring the child out of the contact room, and we have a special, what we call a chill out room, that the worker and the child or the children can go into to have a discussion as well. And also as part of that process as well, we do reviews. And again, it depends on the age of the child. We might come and ask simple questions about how you're feeling, how do you think the contacts are doing, can we do something better or whatever. So just gauging how that child or the children are feeling sort of midway through supervised contacts.
And I'm really hearing as you're speaking that the children are at the centre of everything you do.
Absolutely.
I'm wondering from the other parent, from the parent's perspective, the person who's there to spend time with the child, have you had any feedback from them about what it's like to see their child in that setting where they're supervised? You know, they're within eyesight, aren't they, all the time of the worker?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. So at the intake for that non-custodial parent, it is explained in detail about what happens. And we do explain it is uncomfortable. It is intimidating at times to have someone who's observing your every move, listening to what you've got to say, etc. So we do a lot of explaining and a lot of talk around how it looks, how it feels for that person. But it is a very emotional time for all parties that are involved, including the children as well. It certainly has an enormous impact on the children in what's happening around with the court case that's going on, if we're just doing interim orders there. So yeah, for that non-custodial parent, it can be challenging at times. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what sort of a wait time is there, both if I understand there's some government funding to help parents see their children at a lower cost, or is there also a private option where you could pay to, say, bump yourself up the wait list?
Absolutely.
So what are those two wait times?
The wait list at the moment is around 4 to 6 weeks. It's not terribly high at all. We do have a cost involved, but we understand if you're on that wait list there and you get in to do your supervised contact, it's very minimal. If you wish not to be on that wait list, or you wish to have an immediate contact with your child, it's $200 for 2 hours, Monday to Friday, and $240 for Saturday, Sunday.
Which is probably just covering the cost of staff being able to facilitate that visit. Yes. Okay, well, I've got the phone number here for the Children's Contact Service, and in Tamworth, that number is 6762 9279.
That's correct.
So that's the number for people to call out and start the process.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our watchers regarding the Children's Contact Service?
Yeah, I guess that there's one thing that I think is very important for potential users of our centre, that as a service, CCS or the Children's Contact Service is not bound legally by a court order. So we, as I've said earlier on, we are looking at the safety aspect. If we deem that this particular family is not suitable for our service, we will then try and refer them on to other service providers or look at another centre that might be close by. Okay, thanks for letting the viewers know that, Julie. So although there might be a court order saying you can only see your children through the Children's Contact Service, if during the process, the intake process, it's deemed that there might be a risk to safety that cannot be mitigated, then they won't be accepted into the service. Okay, wonderful. Thanks so much for sharing all that valuable information, Julie. Thank you. Lovely. Thank you, Fiona.